I was on 9/11. I was at work at our old location on Main Street. I was at my desk, and I just remember feeling so devastated when I heard the horrible news, and just a lot of disbelief, and was able to watch some of the footage on a TV, and I just was so much uncertainty on what was to come next, and just feeling so bad for all those involved, and being in prayer for all the victims and the families and the first responders.
I was a junior in high school the day the attacks happened. I remember a teacher ran into the class I was in and told us that the Twin Towers had just been hit. I couldn't comprehend at the time what was going on. I watched the TV all day in shock about what was going on with our country. To this day, 19 years later, my heart breaks for the families who lost loved ones, the first responders we lost, but I have so much gratitude for those who risked their lives to help save others.
I remember September 11th, 2001 very vividly. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. My daughter was in kindergarten and my son was just 2 years old. And I don't remember exactly what I was doing at the time, but I remember the Today Show being on in the background. And I heard the announcement that the first plane hit, and then shortly after the second plane, and then the Pentagon. My first instinct was to get my family home, just to everybody to be together, to huddle together, and to be safe. My husband works in the airline industry, so he was at the Greensboro airport that day. And he said he could look up in the sky and see planes, coming in from all directions. They were all told to land immediately at the closest airport. He said looking out across the runway, it was just nothing but a parking lot full of planes. It was a very, very, very sad day, dark day. If you live through that in your lifetime, then I think that it's something that you'll never forget. You'll never forget where you were, how you felt, just the feeling of just deep-rooted fear. Probably the worst fear that I have felt in my lifetime. It changed our nation forever. We lost so many people, and there were so many people that their lives were forever changed. And I think that's the same thing for our nation. Our nation was forever changed that day.
I remember 9/11 when I was in the 5th grade. We were sitting in our English classroom, just learning, and immediately our teacher heard some news from her son. She put on the TV, and as young children, we were just so scared and afraid. And one of my classmates, even her father, was working in New York City that day. So just that day was a lot of pain. But now I hope America can move forward together.
I was working as a social worker with Hospice of Davidson County. It was in the early years when we were on State Street in an older home. And suddenly, our office phone just started ringing, and our nurses and our aides who were out in the homes visiting clients were all calling in that as they visited with some of our patients who had their TVs on, and the crashing and the bomb and the buildings and everything looked like it was falling apart, and they were all experiencing such horrible emotions of fear and anxiety and unbelievability. And frightened in many ways, and also dealing with all the emotions of our patients who were just totally blown away at what was going on around them. So we immediately turned on the television there in our lobby, and those who were present in the office just gathered around, and we all just held each other, because that was really all we could do. It was just so surreal, so mind-blowing, and people were just stunned. And we called everybody back to the office, and we just spent some time in prayer and being together and trying to console each other, so that then we could go back out into the homes with our patients and offer consolation and comfort to them.
I was working in our Thomasville office that morning when the congregate nutrition site manager come running in my office and said that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. So the TV was on in the nutrition site, and so I went in and watched with the seniors that were there that day for lunch. And when I got there just in time to see a second plane hit the second building. And I thought to myself, what in the world? I mean, this could not be a coincidence. And even with all that, it never crossed my mind that America could be under attack by terrorists. So as we continued to watch, we saw both towers fall and people running from all the debris, the gray smoke and everything that those buildings consisted of just falling to the ground. And they were, trying to outrunning it and seeing the smoke and them covering their faces and things. It was just something that you couldn't stop watching. I mean, something that you'd never seen before. And so you were just watching in amazement and disbelief. I remember the days following the attack. The thing that impacted me the most was seeing the boards of photos and flyers of those that were missing. And just couldn't imagine the feelings of anguish that these family members and friends were feeling, not knowing if their loved one was dead or alive. I think that is definitely something I will never forget.